What's up, everybody? Welcome back. We've got a little value hunting coming at you. If you notice, if you were paying real close attention, the title of this was Game Week 24 until about 10 seconds ago. And I was like, nope, we're on Game Week 25 because those weeks keep moving. If you're here for the first time, welcome. If you haven't signed up for Sorare yet, you can find that in the show notes. I also pinned that link into the chat. So there you go. You can sign up today. As always, all of our links for the stuff that we're going to be doing today, like using Momentum Labs for our projections as we figure out what the hell to do this week and look at some sneaky plays. You can find a link to get behind the paywall there. And I think that's really it. Join the Discord, sign up for VIP, like the stream, subscribe, all that stuff. Excited for Game Week 25, though. What we're going to do over the next 20 minutes or so, we'll answer some questions, but I'll take a look at what kind of contests we have coming up this week. Also going to dive into maybe what we saw this past week, and then also we'll just look at projections for the upcoming week, all the good stuff, So if you have questions as we go, feel free to fire them out. But let's first things first. We're the realist. Let's see what we got coming up for Game Week 25. So we have, as always, the common contender, the common champ. They flipped the common and limited special one, right? So now it's common under 23. Got the youngins. And then for the veterans, they added the limited vets. As always, too, just pay attention to how many rewards are going to be given out, right? So only 100 out of 1,000 entrants so far. So the percentages are obviously vastly different. And then we've got rare contender, rare champ, super rare contender, super rare champ, and unique. I saw, what's his name? Eric White, I think is his name, posted. He's a guy in the cardboard world, posted something about a unique, what was it, a one-of-one Anthony Edwards sold for like 40,000 or 38,000, whatever it was. So we won't necessarily be diving into those streets anytime soon. But that's, hey, good to see. Good to see. So one other caveat before we start diving in, or actually two. One, these are just projections. So they're not we're not married to them. It's not guaranteed that that's what they'll do. They're just projections. And the other thing is we still have, 5 or 6 games tonight. So we'll get a little bit more information before we really lock our lineups in tomorrow. So whether that's injury news on games that happened tonight or injury news and stuff that happened last night, I don't think Halliburton has been updated in the projections yet. So all of that stuff will be useful information tomorrow, which is a perfect segue to plug live before lock, which is at 5:30 Eastern time tomorrow. I need to take a sip of this water here. Mike says not financial advice incoming. You're right. We should do that drop. Where's financial advice? Because that's not what this is. None of this is financial advice. Do what you love what you do. Something like that, right? All right. We got that out of the way. Thank you for that, Mike. All right, let's take a look at the projection, see if anything's cooking. I'm gonna do just a real double check. So these are updated yesterday morning. John will have these updated this afternoon, and then he usually runs them twice on the day of live before lock. So in the morning, West Coast time, he'll probably get a run, and then again around 5 o'clock. But yeah, make sure you tune in tomorrow at 5:30. All right, let's start here at the bottom. Again, we're trying to find. Actually, let's start at 20 and work our way down. I enjoy it that way a little bit better. So basically, the goal of this is to find a couple of cheaper plays or lower cap guys that we can sneak into the lineup so we can play some of our more studly gentlemen. Santa's boy says, this is the first time I acquired Hallie. I was in the chat. He scored 15 so rare points the next game. Got him as a reward last game week, and he leaves the arena in crutches. Yeah, I know. Hopefully it's not too serious, though. So let's start in the 20 range. We'll cover some of the injury news. So Malik Monk and TJ Warren. Malik Monk, Kevin Huerter missed a game last night. He missed last night's game with a non-COVID illness. So if that is going to continue, if Huerter misses 1 or 2 of the next games, then Malik Monk becomes a pretty solid play. Hopefully we have that injury news by lock, or at least somewhat close to lock, because Monk would be kind of sharp. TJ Warren, I think we'll know how good of a play he is tonight. We still haven't seen the Nets play without without KD. We have seen them play without Kyrie, but we haven't seen them play without KD yet. So somebody like TJ Warren might step up into a pretty meaningful role. And if that is the case, he could be a sharp get. I know he's been slowly taking on more of a workload. He's been kind of like their 6th man recently. So Yeah, something to pay attention to tonight. If you needed a reason to watch. Grayson Allen with a cap of 20, DeLon Wright, whatever. None of these guys. All right, here we go. These Pacers, now just to remind you, so this was updated yesterday morning. So since then, we have seen Tyrese Halliburton go down. We can pretty much guarantee he's not going to play this weekend. So they have 2 games. You have Benedict Mathurin, who already was projecting to be a solid play with a cap of 19 and a projection of 20, and Andrew Nembhard, who, shout out to Nembhard, it's like the 3rd time he's made the thumbnail. He's got a cap of 19 and almost 22. So those Pacers, I'm sure, like price-wise, they've already been inflated to like a big old number, and it probably doesn't make sense to go scoop those right now for like the financial purposes. However, those are going to be 2 of your best plays on the slate, mainly because those guys already have minutes, right? It's not like, because we'll get to TJ McConnell a little bit. McConnell might be a much better play too now with this Halliburton news, but you're like hoping that it's kind of like that Paul Reed Montrezl Harrell. You're hoping that's the guy that gets the minutes. However, with Mathurin and with Nembhard, they were already playing 25 to 30 minutes. So now they're going to play maybe a few more minutes, but more importantly, all of that usage is now spread around. So even like above 20, right? Buddy Hield, who had a really solid game when Hallie went down last night. I think he went for 31 and 8. Maybe he takes a little bit more playmaking role. Miles Turner, again, he's another one. So they have 2 games, so we're definitely going to get a feel for it. But Mathurin and Nembhard are my 2 favorites, with TJ McConnell after that, and followed again, like if you're going up in cap, Buddy Hield. Buddy Hield's going to be solid. Buddy Hield. All right, let's keep moving. The 19s. So then we got Jayshawn Derulo Tate. Again, I'm more interested in Jayshawn Tate as we get further away, like further into the season. Jose Alvarado's fine. I don't think Jose Alvarado has a ton of cap, like upsides or projection upsides. So unless all of a sudden CJ sat, right? And I don't see that happening, because CJ right now is the best player in basketball. Let's get into the 18 range. We got Muscala. Again, you are just like throwing darts trying to figure out the OKC bigs, right? They've got so many of them. So Moosetown Scala from OKC is probably a fine dart throw. He might find his way into my lineup. Kenyon Martin Jr. We should actually talk about this. Kevin Porter Jr. left last night's game with an injury. You know what? Let me look it up. It's in a, oh wait, no, look it up. What was I? It's in a book. What's that for? It's Reading Rainbow. Why am I blanking on that? It's in a book. Take a look. There we go. There we go. It took a while, but we got there, y'all. Sorry, I'm looking up the box score last night for the Houston Rockets because I'm curious how many minutes Tate played after, because Kevin Porter Jr. only played 10. So Kenyon Martin Jr. played the 27. Jayshawn Tate played 19. And again, I brought this up before, right? What I'm interested in with Jayshawn Tate is the facilitation. So he only had 2 points, but he did have 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 steals. I don't know. I just think more of the ball handling ends up going on Jalen Green. So I think Jalen Green probably becomes a sharper play. Kenyon Martin Jr. I think is fine. Jalen Smith, again, I'm not entirely sure how the Pacers stuff is going to be impacted. So his minutes has been all over the place too. I don't know what Rick Carlisle's doing. Let my man cook. Mark Williams caps up to 18. We haven't seen a ton of upside from him. Again, I'm still super bullish on Mark Williams, but we got a little bit of ways to go, I think, before he's fully unleashed. Dennis Smith Jr., whatever. We get down to the 17. Seth Curry, same thing. Pay attention tonight to Joe Harris, who, oh, I'm sorry, that's Gary Harris. But Seth Curry and Joe Harris, TJ Warren, those Nets guys we're going to have to pay attention to see who pops the most. They do have 2 games this weekend, correct? No, only 1 game this weekend. Forget it. So, yeah, pay attention tonight. Let's see. We also have Isaiah Joe from OKC is fine. I don't really love it. I think in this range, I'd honestly rather just, in the words of Flo Rida, go low, low, low. Kispert, Santiago Dama, Dougie McBuckets, whatever. All right, now we're popping. Terrence Mann. Terrence Mann has his minutes are pretty secure, and then when Paul George or Kawhi misses, they really pop. And they have 2 games this weekend, so maybe Paul George misses both because of his old hamstring, and then Kawhi only plays one of the 2, and all of a sudden we're going to see those man hands. So Terrence Mann's going to continue to be a pretty solid play. You got Romeo Langford. He's fine. I don't really love Romeo Langford. One other pacer I forgot to mention, by the way, speaking of Langford, ex-Boston Celtics, I was thinking of Aaron Nesmith. He's probably going to be a solid play. I know his cap's above 20. Troy Brown Jr. has still missed some time. They only have one game this weekend. Maybe we get a better feel tonight if he's back, what the situation is. Xavier Tillman, I don't really care. Damian Lee has been a workhorse with everybody out. He like owned the Warriors the other night. He had a bad game against the Nuggets last night, but so did the entire state of Arizona. So I don't know. Damian Lee's fine. I wish Damian Lee did more than just get buckets. Like he's probably going to get you like 18 to 24 actual points, but then he might not get you any rebounds or assists. So I think Damian Lee's fine if you got him. His cap's back down to 13 after we've seen that creep up to like 18, I think. But I think you could find some better spots. Yuta, again, put that Yuta and Joe Harris in the Nets conversation with this cap of 13. I'll be far more interested in this situation tomorrow after we see tonight's action. Taurean Prince, who I believe missed the last game due to an illness. I think that's right, Borland. He's projecting pretty well. I know Kyle Anderson missed some games. And so when, like last night, I think they were without Kyle Anderson and Taurean Prince, and they lost to Anthony Edwards halfway through. So that Minnesota situation we're probably going to monitor. But if they're short on those guys again, Taurean Prince is going to be solid. Jumping Joe Ingles, his cap went up a whole one. We saw a pretty good game from him the other day, so I'm okay with Joe Ingles. If you're sitting on Ingles, you should get off him. That's rude, but I think he's a pretty solid play. And then Jaden Hardy, I know he's been securing those minutes even with Luka back in action. I think he's fine, but I'd obviously prefer it if they had like a back-to-back and Luka was going to sit one of those games. They do have 2 games, so maybe it happens. Usman Garuba. We haven't seen too much from him. Gabe Vincent, whatever. Orlando Robinson with Bam back isn't as enticing. Zaire Williams, whatever. Let's get back to the green. Down here in the cap of 9, Jalen Williams, the big boy from OKC. Again, you're just kind of throwing darts. You're just throwing darts there. Kyle Anderson was sick. Prince turned his ankle during last night's game. Status unknown. All right, thank you, Borland. Jalen Noel. Was Noel back? Noel's like really slowed down. Anyways, Jalen Williams, again, you're just throwing darts at the OKC bigs, Jabari Walker, whatever. Now we get down to the 7s. Zeke Naji, okay. Dario Saric has been playing really well. As long as all of those dudes from Phoenix are going to continue to miss time, I think it's pretty solid. Borland saying Wolves have a Friday, Saturday home back-to-back against Cleveland and Phoenix. So there you go. Thank you, Borland. Thank you, Borland. But yeah, Dario Saric, I kind of like. Juan Toscano Anderson just gets in a lot of exercise, so he's not my favorite. Agbaji I like. And then that's it. Stanley Johnson still doesn't have a card yet on So Rare, which I'm okay with. They're taking their time. But he's been working his way into the rotation there for the Spurs. So I think on these low end, right? Agbaji with a double-digit projection, a cap of 6 is pretty nice. I'd rank them for the 10 and under. I want Agbaji and I want Dario Saric. Those are probably my 2 favorite. One Toscano Anderson, whatever. Jabari Walker, I don't love as much. Jalen Williams. But those 3, Jalen Williams, Agbaji, and Dario Saric are probably my favorite. After that, it's really figuring out what's going on with the Nets and the Wolves. Nets in the sense that like we don't know what their rotation's like, and the Wolves, we just don't know who's healthy. And then Terrence Manhan. So those are my favorite values, I think, for this week. Those are the ones that are going to pop the most. I don't know if you guys have any questions, fire those into the chat. Excited to see what you got for me here. I'll see if there's anybody that's like really popping up here that we should pay attention to. See Middleton, if he ever comes back, his cap's like pretty low from a couple of piss poor games, so that'll help. But nobody like really smashing. Terry Rozier cap slowly still coming up, but this like 29 range of Wendell Carter Jr. I really like. I like Wendell Carter Jr. quite a bit. But Wendell, Trey Jones, Simons, these are all like pretty solid plays if you're going for more of a middle of the road type build. Rudy Gobert continues to project really well. Rudy's been putting up big double-doubles. So there is that. The Zanger there at the cap of 39. Same thing with Kawhi, although you think about Kawhi is he probably only plays one of those games, and that's pretty frustrating. Ja Morant's cap of 41 is pretty awesome. Just because he's got like 60 point up. Like he's got the same cap as Fred VanVleet and Zach LaVine. So there you go. That's kind of it. Clippers is tricky also. Lou seems to struggle a lot to find his rotation. Wolf, you know what I would say, though? I think I think it's less about Lou and it's more about the availability of his guys. Like every game, 3 different dudes are out, you know? And I think he even said it in a press conference like a month ago. He was like, I'd love to just have the same guys for 15 straight games. And I get it. All right. Someone was asking about Terrence Davis. So Davis is not projecting right now, but so it will totally depend, so Rare Viking, on Kevin Herter's status. If Kevin Herter continues to miss some games, then with that non-COVID illness, then he'll be okay. Let's see what he did last night. I forget what he did last night. I'm gonna pull this up quickly. Why can't I? Oh, there we go. I know he probably moved into the starting rotation for our man Herder. So Terrence Davis started, played 23 minutes, had 6.6 rebounds, 2 assists. So that was while he started. So I don't love it. I don't love it unless Herder's out. I just think you could do better there. I mean, like the benefit is how low that cap is, right? Like a cap of 9. I don't hate it though. At what point do you think teams that are sellers start making moves? Just trying to think ahead. So, well, the trade deadline is a week. I mean, 3 weeks away, February 9th, 3.5 weeks away. I believe there's another date coming up. Honestly, it was either, I thought it was January 12th, maybe it's January 15th or 18th. It's one of those where more guys become available based on like what their contracts were. Like right now, there's a handful of guys that might be trade candidates that like you legally can't even talk about trading. But that changes in a week or two. So I think we'll start seeing some more moves. But my guess is like the beginning of February is when we start seeing it happen. Is it me or not many players projecting massively this game week? Well, Mike, I think a lot of teams had multiple games this week, and this weekend, I don't think it's as aggressive. But I will say, like, the projections are going to shift once like, if you're just using Momentum Labs, the projections are going to shift once that Pacers news comes in. And that Pacers news is going to be helpful because, and the Nets news, because that will allow you to get some like really cheap guys in to get some of the more expensive guys who might have like a cap of 40 and a projection of 42, which isn't massive, but it's still, you can like reach those ceilings because of the cheaper guys like the Nembards and the Mathrons and guys like that. So I do agree though. It is, I mean, I've been finding it week to week, it's getting a little bit trickier. And I don't know if it's because I'm getting more options to plug in and that makes it harder. I'm not entirely sure why, but it does seem like the value is drying up, if you will, which means we're going to have to change the name of this show, like Value Starving. But I think that's it. If you guys have any other questions, pepper them in right now. But otherwise, we'll wrap up this episode of Value Hunting. We kept it under 20 minutes. Hell yeah, that's always the goal. And then a reminder, yeah, if you haven't signed up for Sorare yet, use the link that's pinned into the chat, or you can find it in the show notes. You should make sure to check out Momentum Labs, who is gracious enough to let us use their projections for this show. All of that stuff. Nembard seems like a decent play with Halio. Yeah, we talked about Nembard quite a bit. Mathurin, I think TJ McConnell, and then on the higher end, like Buddy Hale and Miles Turner, like all of that. There's just so much usage from Halliburton. The one other thing, though, that you like, if you wanted to really zag, if you think everyone is going to be playing those guys, if you think the Pacers just crater without Halliburton, you could focus on guys like TJ McConnell, like Isaiah Jackson, Jalen Smith, those types of plays, because maybe you're just like, hey, they're going to get blown out these games. Let's see what let me pull up their schedule on my end over here. So tomorrow, we've got the Pacers play Atlanta, which not a lot of defense will happen there. And Atlanta kind of sucks. So maybe that does stay close without Halliburton. And then it's a back-to-back against Memphis. So that's second game, man. That second game against Memphis. Does Memphis have a back-to-back? Are they playing Friday or are they off Friday? And Memphis doesn't have a back-to-back on Friday. So Memphis could truly just beat them by 500. So I don't know. I'm talking myself into TJ McConnell. That's what I'm doing. That is what I'm doing. It's TJ season, baby. It's TJ season. All right, gang, we're going to call it there. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out. Good luck with Game Week 25. Make sure you tune in tomorrow at 5:30 Eastern for Live Before Lock. We'll have our man Noman. But for myself, the Team Whole Crew, we out.